You're listening to The Scrimmage with Daniel Hargrove and Justin Domashevitz.
Hello.
You can just keep going.
I know, Justin's not here.
Justin's not here to stop you.
I can just do weird sounds for 10 minutes. And I'm Daniel Hargrove, trusty producer Andrew Gross here with me today. No Justin Domashevitz because actually I don't even know why.
We didn't invite him.
Yeah, sure, we'll go with that. He's been excommunicated from the show or suspended. What should we go with? Because we want him to come back eventually, maybe, because he does a lot of work.
Daniel's like, I can only do one of these at a time.
I don't want to do this again.
Justin is busy today, so
Yeah, busy. Busy.
He had less important things to do.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, we've got stuff to talk about, I'm sure. I've written some
Well, we
things
have some
down.
local sports. I know that your head has been in local sports all week,
Yes.
all month. So that's a lot of basketball. Is that what's happening?
A ton of basketball.
Yeah.
Yes, as Andrew calls it, bouncy ball hoop game.
Bouncy ball hoop game.
I would say I've been doing a little bit, just a little bit of basketball lately. Yeah, so it's gonna be pretty heavy on the high school basketball side today. We also got some other stuff to talk about real quick, as well as some mailbag stuff. And you know what? If anybody's watching out there, I will have Andrew check on the comments periodically because he's got a lot to do. But I will have him check on them periodically in case something happens.
I'll do my best.
Francis is yelling at us about chili or something. So, that's always good to know. Anyway, let's get it going with the 2-minute drill.
I know how to do that.
Yeah.
Let's go, hurry up! Gotta hurry. Hey, 2-minute situation, 44 seconds, hand the ball around. Gonna do it right. 3 jet Buckeye, don't worry.
The 2-minute drill starts now. This year, the WIAA added a selection committee to decide the seeding for the state basketball tournament instead of strictly going with the RPI. Daniel, is this a good move?
I think so. I really do, because straight up numbers, especially in high school basketball where the RPI doesn't take class or size of the school into effect, that can be manipulated and definitely doesn't tell the full story. Apparently, they did take the RPI into account, but the final decision was made by a selection committee. And so far, what I've seen from some of the rankings, some of the seedings, it looks like they did a pretty good job. It does hurt one of our local teams, a couple of our local teams this year, though. So
I hate it.
Yeah,
Terrible move.
We'll get into that a little bit later in the show. It does hurt this year, but I think it's probably the right thing to do. Clint Hurtt has been chosen as the next defensive coordinator for the Seahawks. Andrew, listening to him, are you excited about the upcoming season?
Yes, I am. I loved everything I heard from him.
Okay.
I don't know. It's he still has to make it happen. He still has to show that he can make good defense happen. We've had 2 years where there's been horrible defense, like historically bad defense
Real
through
bad.
the first half of 2 seasons in a row.
Yep.
I think that it will be different, but I'm still like, you know what? I'm gonna wait to see it, but I am excited. Daniel, the Portland Trailblazers, that's a bouncy ball hoop game.
Trailblazers.
The Portland Trailblazers have gone on a winning streak since trading away a lot of their top-level players. Daniel, are you worried that they're going to win too much?
I am, actually, because they have a fairly high draft pick if they don't make it to the top 8 teams in the conference. And
They're a lottery pick unless they get up there. Is that right?
Because there was a condition in a trade.
Okay.
That if they were in this range of area, then they would get the pick, and if they're not, then so
That's complicated.
it's complicated and sketchy, and I don't like it because now I have to worry about them winning too much. I don't want that.
Daniel's out here rooting against the Blazers.
I don't like it. I mean, and then it gets into this weird part because apparently everybody makes the playoffs in the NBA. I thought that was only going to be like
That's the new
randomly
thing
due to
in
COVID.
all the sports now.
Seriously, apparently 10 teams per conference make it.
Sorry.
That works.
I realized we were talking about other stuff now.
Yeah.
So everybody gets into the play. It's basically
I mean, the 10 through, what was it? Gosh darn it, Justin told me. The 7, 8, 9, and 10 seeds play to get into the playoffs.
okay.
So that's
How many teams are there in the NBA?
That's what I
honestly
was
don't know.
gonna say.
64?
There, 64. That would make more sense if you're gonna have 10 teams have a shot to make the playoffs from each side. So Andrew, that's 20 teams out of 32 teams.
Okay, yeah. That
You
sounds
can
right.
be
What's
in
the
the
baseball now? Baseball's up to 8 from each side? Is it 16 of 32?
Let's
or
see. So
7?
we have the 2 wild cards. We have the 2 wild cards and the 3 division winners. So it's 5 from each side.
5 from each side. So
So-
it's half as many. And that's still expanded.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I mean, you're not even one of the top half of your
Football
teams in your
has-
conference, and you can make it into the playoffs.
Football has 8? No, I can't even think tournament brackets in my head.
Yeah, I know. It's
But
been too long.
Football had 3. The Seahawks were the only team in the division that didn't go to the playoffs.
Yes. I think we're getting to the point where there's too many playoff teams. Does it make
So-
things crazy and interesting at the end of the season? Yes. But should it?
Here's my
Should it?
I'm normally all in on the I hate change, keep everything the same.
Yes.
I mean, we know that I hate change in
Yeah.
any form.
Boo.
Boo change. However, to take a little bit of a progressive, let's just change everything
Okay.
and be new. What if we just got rid of regular seasons and just played tournaments?
I've heard you say this
play
before.
Play some tournaments are fun.
Yes.
And regular seasons are a slog,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody's fighting over money and stuff. What if we had pro athletes just playing tournaments? Like you could have an NFL tournament where they could play a couple getting the team together games, and then they'd play this big tournament, and they could play. It's kind of like I feel like there's sevens rugby which we've referenced before, but it's these short games. You can play a whole tournament in a weekend, and so instead of playing matches, you don't play a series of matches, you play a tour of tournaments, and the teams that over the course of a year, the teams that win the most tournaments get the most points and are the champion team. It's more marketable.
I could see it. The hard football would be hard. I think you
It
could
would
do
be.
that.
Football tournaments are hard. There's
There's a reason why football's once a week.
NCAA should have a football championship that is a big tournament, but the reason they don't is because football tournaments are hard.
Yeah.
You can't play 3 times a week
Exactly.
because you're pathetic little. No.
I don't think in
It's
11-man rugby.
legitimately.
I just said
football.
11-man rugby. That's
15,
not a
15
thing.
man.
Ugh. I have a bunch
might
of
be-
rugby
there
friends
might be
that'll
an 11-man
upset with me for saying
version.
that.
Or 10. No, there's 10 man. There's a
Is there
10 man
really?
version. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
I don't know if I've ever seen it.
Gotcha. Okay, but 15 is
15 is normal.
That's what I mean. And they don't play back-to-back days or anything like that, do they? Don't they play once a week too? I feel
Generally, I feel like they don't even play once. The high level. Well, no, in leagues they'll play every week.
I'm thinking
during
World Cup.
during the World Cup, I feel like they will play on 3 days rest.
Wow.
I want to say that happens, but it's not the majority of the time.
That's insane.
It is. It is. That is insane.
That's a bloodbath.
They're also. It's just. I mean, you know this. It's a different kind of contact. It's
is.
not the deep bone bruise. There are positions in football, running back, where you're going home with deep bruises every. If you played and you played well, you got bruised up and you need to recover.
Yeah, you're having contusions every game.
Yeah, that doesn't happen as much in rugby. I feel like there's cuts.
Yeah,
You might get cut and have stitches, maybe.
And
but
every now and then, but
Yeah.
just because you play fly half in rugby doesn't mean you're going to be going.
You're tired.
Yeah.
But it's more like basketball in that you might be exhausted more than you are beat up.
Yes.
Although beating up does happen occasionally.
Yes, exactly. So that would be interesting. I
I
don't know.
I'm not.
The thing is,
I'm not
I
really.
I know you're
behind
not
that
really
idea,
advocating it,
but I
taking
could
it-
see it going that way
Yeah,
because
I
it
like
is more
taking-
marketable.
So let's say you're thinking like series of tournaments,
Well, I'm thinking,
and that would actually work well in basketball. I mean, basketball tournaments growing up as a kid was like one of the most fun things you did.
basketball especially, it seems like there's no point in having a regular season.
Yeah.
Like right now,
honestly.
my impression of the regular season in the pros as a non-fan, so
Yeah.
this is not authoritative, but my impression is that even the people who love basketball don't care about the regular season.
Yeah,
Like,
for the most part.
so in that case, why are you doing it? Why don't you have like 3 tournaments?
yeah,
Or
that's
like
what that's what
regional tournaments with a
Well, see, what I was gonna say is there's 32? Is it 32 or 30 teams?
I don't know.
I don't know. There's
Justin
30
would probably know.
There's 30-ish teams
30-ish.
in the NBA, right? So you could have a single elimination tournament, like you could have like 5 of those throughout the season. And
Clarence says that some of my radical ideas make him uncomfortable. You know what? That's what I'm here for, Clarence.
know,
I'm here to provide some discomfort.
that's true. You've been doing it since the start of the show, like 10 years ago or whatever that was. When sometimes you would say something and my brain would just be like, that's not how sports work. But in basketball, NBA,
It's on purpose most
they
of the time.
literally could do that. They could have like 5 tournaments, and then the top, they would have a point system. Like, okay,
Yeah.
you finished this high in this tournament, that's this many points, and the top like 6 point getters would play in a little mini tournament at the end or something, or even just be seeded. It would seed the final tournament that
Yeah.
way, just like the NCAA is 64 plus whatever how many teams.
March Madness is
March Madness is the best. It's so much
it
fun.
is. Everybody should be trying to emulate that. Like, if we could have a different sport take over a month and a half of the calendar at a time, and
Yeah.
just like, I'll have a madness for a
everybody's-
month and a half, and I'll pay attention to anything you
Where
want me
you're-
to. If you can give me a bracket,
I mean, you're riding and dying with teams that you've never heard of, with
Yes.
players you have never heard of before and you will never think of again. And
Florida
you are
Coast State University or whatever the heck,
Florida Gulf Coast.
Florida Gulf Coast,
And you are riding and dying with that team
Yeah.
because you picked them in a bracket, or even if you didn't, but they're a story and you are all about that. Name another sport that brings anything close to that. Nothing.
no.
Nothing.
In college football, there's a lot of really deep feeling,
Yeah.
but you don't get to bounce around. Like, it's your team.
Yeah, exactly. It's your team or nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, trust me, I'm an Oregon State fan.
We know.
Last year was the only memory I have in my entire life of having my team in that situation where they're actually winning. There was one other time, I think, in my adult life where they made it. That was like 4 or 5 years ago, and they lost in the first round. So, and I still love March Madness every year because you can just glom on to somebody or a story or your bracket or whatever. There's so many different ways to root. So you're right. If you could get like how everybody's not trying to create something like that, or especially college football where they're just like, nope, we only have 4 teams in our tournament. Well, why?
Well, college football is a perfect example.
Because we don't want to sully the importance of the regular season. I mean, for 4 teams.
For 4 teams.
Because as soon as, random team loses one game, then the rest of their games are now not important. So,
Well, or if
I mean,
you're not
their games wasn't really important in the first place.
If you're not in a power conference,
I know.
then
Cincinnati
it
was
doesn't
like-
matter if you go undefeated. Your whole regular season was meaninless.
Cincinnati was the first team.
Get good.
The first team to do that.
Yeah. And
you want to
everybody's
tell
like,
me
they
that?
didn't belong there.
Yeah, okay. Because Michigan sure didn't get blown out. Yeah, that all worked out great, huh? I'm glad that we never have blowouts in the first round of the 4-team playoffs. That's never happened almost like every year. Seriously, it's ridiculous. But, tell Boise State their regular season was important however many years ago when they were going undefeated. And it's like, yeah okay, that's important. So and I get that pro sports are different. We got into this discussion, oddly enough, because the NBA has seriously 10 out of
They're all getting
10
money.
out of the 16 teams in each conference, the Western
Right.
Conference and the Eastern Conference. There's 16 teams, I think.
Which
And 10 out of the 16 teams have a chance to be in the playoffs.
And I guess my point
What?
there is that I don't really mind that much. But when now that is true, getting in the playoffs isn't an accomplishment. You don't get to go, yeah, we made the playoffs. And this is honestly how I felt about the Mariners. And I'm not saying it isn't an accomplishment. I'm saying I have felt this sadness that as the playoffs is, I think they're potentially going to be expanded more.
If they do, then it would harm me more. Because right now it's still really exclusive.
Right.
It's
but
still
I've had this thing where people are so focused on the playoffs, and I see it in people's commentary where they're like we need to make it to the playoffs, and I'm going, it'd be cool, but if the Mariners, I'm saying we instead of the Mariners, if the Mariners,
Justin's not here, we don't care.
If the Mariners just make it to the playoffs, I'm not going to be nearly as psyched as if the Mariners are really, really good. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And the playoffs, not as much in baseball, but because I'm following all of the sports, at least generally, the playoffs don't feel that exciting. And part of that also is that we've seen the Seahawks go to the playoffs for the last decade. So it feels like, well, if you're decent, you should get to the playoffs.
Exactly. But baseball is so much different.
Which is true.
Because there's 10 total teams that make it to the playoffs.
Right.
And really 2 of them make it to a play-in game to get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so
that's
it's
a fair
it's
point.
still
that
really
also
hard.
Are there 32 baseball teams?
There are 30 baseball teams.
30, okay. So there is a lot of baseball teams too.
Yeah. Because there's 5 in each division.
Yeah.
I just made sure I looked that up because I had a little bit of panic.
I appreciate that.
Because I was like, wait, is there 3 or 4 divisions in each conference? But no, there's 3. There's in baseball, there's AL West, NL West, AL East, AL. There's West, Central, East. In football, though, there's already 4 divisions, right? Because there's West, South, North, and East for each conference.
Yeah.
And so there's more playoff teams there because each division winner. And that's the same way like the NBA is. It's just like they don't even mess around with the NBA doesn't mess around with the divisions. I mean, there is divisions, but that doesn't play anything into your playoffs. It's just the top 10 teams in each conference.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. How did we get off into that?
We're complaining because there's 10.
Because I might have to root against the Blazers.
Oh, you were rooting against the Blazers. That's right. We were complaining because you're rooting against the Blazers.
Yeah. Because of a weird trade thing where if they do too good, they don't get a good draft pick.
It totally makes sense that you can just make up whatever rules you want for a trade because it's just a contract.
Yeah, yeah.
But it feels weird to me because I think of like fantasy trades and it's like most leagues you can't even trade draft picks. But if you can trade draft picks, you have to trade equal numbers of draft picks.
Yes.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Instead of, okay, here's the deal. I'll give you this trade if you suck real bad. If you're good, you don't get it.
Yeah.
Wait, huh?
Or like in baseball when it's always like a player to be named later and
Yeah.
you're like, what? No. Look, we want that guy, and then when we have a guy that you want, just let us know.
Exactly. Or you don't even care if we send you anybody, but we technically have to at
Cash
some point.
considerations. Like, I honestly don't know what that means. I just,
Yeah.
like, they're just giving you money? I don't know.
Speaking of the MLB, are we going to have a season this year? You were telling me earlier you didn't think so, and that scares me to death.
I don't, that's too strong. I don't have an opinion strong enough to say I don't think so. I am getting worried by how many like insider type talking people are saying that the owners are prepared to skip the season.
Gotcha.
Now, if that is true and the owners are completely willing to forego a season, that doesn't mean that we wouldn't have a season because the Players Association could roll over and, you know, make whatever concessions they need to make to convince the owners to have a season. But it doesn't seem like the owners it's a walkout.
Yeah.
It's not a strike. The players presumably would be happy to go to spring training right now and continue negotiating.
Yeah.
The owners are the ones that are saying, nope, no baseball until we get a deal.
Ugh.
And then the players are like, well, here's a suggestion. And the owners are like, no, we don't like it. Like, that's the impression. The impression that I'm getting as a non-expert who's listening to the radio and sort of paying attention is that the owners aren't interested in any sort of negotiation. They want the Players Association to give up a lot. I mean, the Baseball Players Association is generally considered like the strongest pro sports union. And they don't seem to be interested in anything but the Players Association giving up power, basically. And the details are beyond me. Like, there are details, and I don't really understand them or really care, because that's their problem. And my problem as a fan is that I want to watch baseball. And I also have a little bit more sympathy for players, because I don't care about rich players. There are rich players.
Yes.
There's a lot more poor players.
Especially in baseball.
Yeah, especially in baseball. That's the most true in baseball, because not only are there guys on the rookie deal that are making a maximum of $500,000, which is a lot of money.
Yes.
I don't feel bad for those guys.
Yeah.
But there's guys that are making what is minor leagues, honestly? Like,
cheap.
Like
I can Google it really quick, but
maybe $1,000 a week.
Yeah, something like that.
While you're having to live in either you're sharing rooms with people or you're living in a hotel, because guess what? You're on a different team today. I need you to get to Phoenix by Sunday. You're pitching.
This is from a ESPN article that says, can a union fix this? Minor leaguers say poverty level pay.
Yeah.
An individual can't meet basic needs earning less than $26,225 a year anywhere in the United States. And that's what some minor leaguers are making. What? Oh, and this says in 2021, most minor leaguers will make between $8,000 and $14,000 from April to October, according to the uniform player contract. So they're making $8,000 to $14,000, but it's just from April to October.
So that's a plus, Daniel. That way they can sell some cars.
They can go get a job. Yeah, like it's crazy.
And those are the guys. Those are the guys that I hope that the Players Association is at least keeping in mind. One of the things I really disliked about the NFL Players Association negotiations the last few times is that it really feels like they've thrown the young guys under the bus to get less practice time for the old guys, which is just so frustrating to me, because I think that also makes the product on the field worse.
It does. It absolutely does. So dumb. Do you have, I forgot to ask you about this before. Do you have any questions for me?
Questions for you?
For Stump Daniel?
No, I don't have a Stump Daniel. I'm sorry.
That's
actually what I meant before the show when I was like, I don't have anything prepared. I'm sorry. That was specifically, I do not have a Stump Daniel.
Yeah, I thought that might be what you're talking about, but I wasn't sure. So, I mean, we have some great stuff. No, I shouldn't. I'm going to keep that on the quiet. I'm going to keep that on the down low for now. Francis knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, yeah, so Stump Daniel usually, well, it's still brought to you by the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz, but we're just not stumping anybody today. Unless somebody can comment in really quick a question that you could ask me.
Clarence has a question that I added to the mailbag.
Oh, good. Sweet.
I won't read it now.
All right, cool.
But,
well, how about this then? How about we take a commercial break, and then after that, we will get into a lot of the local stuff. Unless somebody sends you an amazing question during the commercial that you're like,
Daniel.
You can stump me with that.
Okay, that sounds good. Maybe. There we go.
Do you have a legal situation and need someone on your side? Let the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz be your advocate. If you've been the victim of medical malpractice, suffered a personal injury, or need representation with real estate law, small business law, or estate planning, let Jeff Domashevitz put his 29 years of experience to work for you. Call Jeff Domashevitz today at 360-612-3991 or visit domashevitzlaw.com. That's DAMASIEWICZLAW.com.
And thank you again to our sponsors, the Law Office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz and Ole Penn Real Estate. Any last second questions of trivia thrown in there?
No trivia questions.
Okay. All right. Then we'll move on to our Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week.
Ooh.
And this week we have a nomination.
So this was the end of districts, boys districts?
And girls and boys
girls
districts.
and boys
Yeah.
districts. Okay.
And it's the end of high school districts this week. So they all started last week. They all start last week?
Most of them anyway.
I think most of them started last
like
week.
a week and 2 weeks of districts.
Yeah, about a week and a
that
half.
wrapped up this weekend.
Yes.
Okay. And then is wrestling?
Wrestling is going on right now. Apparently regionals is over.
Okay.
Because one of our, and I'm sorry, I just don't know as much about it. I do know.
Yeah, I know. I was laughing because I didn't mean to like expose you there. I was just curious. Like, what are the state of the current seasons?
To this, I was about ready. This is going to be in the local sports, but because apparently day one for the MAC Classic.
Okay.
For the rest, so apparently state wrestling tournament, the MAC Classic is already underway. Okay. Day one. There's some news from day one.
Swimming state is probably underway as well. I think usually that's the same weekend.
Yes, So I'm in the local sports. I'm gonna have some. I don't know wrestling and swimming, and I know that it's going on like today, or maybe even yesterday. Maybe these are old articles, but I'm gonna give you what I got.
Okay. I just wanted an overview before you started off with. So it's we're gonna name the athlete of the week, and this current state of the seasons is right at the end.
We might have more. We'll probably have more on wrestling next week when we can get like all of the results, even though they're probably happening yesterday night, and I'm just not seeing them. So
plus, Justin has a lot of. I'm not nearly as good at helping with local sports as Justin is.
Yes,
that's what I'm trying to say.
That's correct. And so far, I was just gonna say our honorable mention this year when we received this nomination, and I was giving her the honorable mention. Perhaps she deserves the athlete of the week by yesterday, because I don't know when that tournament's gonna end.
Oh, okay.
But so she's definitely going to need consideration for next week. But I have her as an honorable mention this week. She was nominated. It's Katie Gakin. She is a girls wrestler for Aberdeen. She was the district champ, regional champ, undefeated through regionals, all wins via pin, and ranked number 3 in the state at the 190 weight. And from what I've seen, this is day one of the MAC Classic. I haven't found any updates past that yet. Let's see. She had a bye in round 1. She won her second one by decision. And then in the quarterfinal, she won by decision as well. 2-1. So as far as I know, she's still around and won in the quarterfinal. So what? It goes quarterfinal, semifinal, final. So if she wins the next 2 matches, she'll be a state champion. So definitely, and for all I know, that's already taken place. So that's the honorable mention. She's been an athlete of the week for us before. She was recognized by the state as a WIAA athlete of the week, and we picked her as our athlete of the week during that week as well. But I'm sorry, I'm a little biased. I'm a little partial to the basketballs because that's what I know more about. And you know what's crazy is I was trying to look back at our athletes of the week. I don't think we've actually picked Kira Gardner at all this year.
That's shameful.
It is shameful. She's been amazing. And so our Ole Penn Athlete of the Week is Kira Gardner for her 60 points this week in the district playoffs in 2 close games to win the district title for Raymond for the first time since 1991. Wow. The Raymond girls have won the district title for the first time since 1991. She's been playing in that tournament. She was the last few years, and they still haven't won. It's a tough district tournament that they play in, and so they won it for the first time since 1991. She had 38 points in the title game. 38 points.
In a girls basketball.
In the district title game. So against the top competition of her district, she puts up 38 points. They get the win 68-60, and that's not all she did.
So it was high scoring on both sides. That's awesome.
Yes.
That's cool.
And that's not all she did. She also grabbed 13 rebounds. You know I love rebounds because it shows that's a hustle stat. She also had 5 assists. She's not selfish. She also had 4 steals, plays the defense. And you want to know what else she did? She had 8 blocks. 8 blocks.
That's
8 blocks, 4 steals,
awesome.
5 assists, 13 rebounds, and 38 points.
How come you weren't broadcasting that game?
That game was at Chehalis, and I was about a half hour up the road at the Montesano game because it's easier for us to sell commercials to Montesano people.
Once again,
I know.
Scrimmage is biased towards Montesano.
I know. Well, also, it's not the scrimmage. That's for my day job. Actually, that's for my night job, part of my day job. Because my day job is news.
Gotcha.
So that was my night job, part of the day job. This is my weekend job.
Okay.
She also had...
All I'm saying is you're clearly biased for Montesano.
Yeah. That's why Kira Gardner's the Ole Penn Athlete of the Week. Kira also had 22 or 24 points on Tuesday. I've seen both listed. So she had either 22 or 24 points on Tuesday in the game to get to districts, which apparently they had to make a huge comeback in that game to win that game to get to the district title game. She also had 11 rebounds and 3 assists in that game. So just a massive week for Kira Gardner as they win their first district title since 1991. Congratulations to Kira. She is our Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week.
That's 31 years, right?
Holy crap.
Yeah. That's a long time.
Is it bad that every time I hear 90s, I always think like 5 to 10 years still?
Yeah. I that's kind of what triggered. I was like 91. That was like, holy cow.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Wow. So, yeah. And again, Katie Gakin, we're not going to forget about her because she has just been on a tear. And for all you know, she's still winning wrestling matches, but we're yet to get updated more on that. So that is our Ole Penn Athlete of the Week. Now let's get into...
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations, Kira. And especially now that I pronounce your name correctly. Let's get into the local sports roundup. All right. Also, so we'll get in more into that. So not only did Kira Gardner have 38 points in that district title game as they beat Chief Leshai 68-60, but Carson Freeman, the freshman, had 24 points for the Seagulls. Let's see, if you add that up, 38 plus 24, that's 62. So somebody else scored 6 points. Gosh. That's crazy. All right, a heck of a game for them as they take their first district title since 91. In Montesano, they got a district title as well as the Montesano girls basketball team. They emerged victorious on Saturday night. I was covering that game. Paige Leisherness had a hard-fought 14 points, 16 rebound game in that one to lead the Bulldogs to the victory, and that was a comeback win as well as they were taking on Tenino, who was the 2 seed from the Evergreen. And Tenino took the early lead and led till 5 minutes and 35 seconds, or they led until the first tie at 7 minutes and 20 seconds left in the game. Montesano didn't take their first lead till the 5:35 mark, and then it was just back and forth for the rest of the way. It was a crazy good game. Ashley Scow had had 8 points and 14 rebounds for Tenino. Megan Letts had 11 points for them, but what a monster performance for Paige Leisherness. Really top to bottom. Everybody who played in that game for Monty had key plays, especially down the stretch in the fourth quarter where literally every point you felt like, man, this is all important. That's what it felt like. More on the rest of the Twin Arbor teams that made it to the state tournament out of girls basketball in a little bit. Sadly, Wednesday night, that was not near as much fun as I was covering boys basketball down in Vancouver. Montesano was eliminated from their district tournament 71-27 against Kingsway. They ran into a buzzsaw there, as did Elma. They lost 63-39 against Seton Catholic. We also got some more boys hoop from the local areas to talk about when we get into the state tournament in a little bit. I want to give a shout out. We had somebody let us know that the Aberdeen 8th grade varsity Bob Kittens for boys basketball at the middle school level went 8-0 this season, and they were led by Coach Jimmy McDaniel. Their players are Bubba Jones, Aiden Baker, Brian Stevenson, Isaac Garcia, Jacob Quisada, Micah Schroeder, Quentin Morrill, Talking Morrill, Riker Scott, and Xanto Rea. They took down Centralia Shelton. I'll not add those two together. Centralia Shelton, Montesano, Tenino, Chehalis, Hoquiam, Elma, and Rochester. And man,
those scores.
They didn't have a close game.
The most points they allowed was Montesano scored 27.
Yeah.
And they scored 66.
Yeah, they still beat them by 49. Oh, that's not good. 39. That's nuts.
Very on purpose didn't try to do that math.
Yeah, I shouldn't have. I'm trying to figure out what their closest game was. I think their closest game was they only won by 20 against Rochester. Wow. So, congratulations to the Miller Bob Kittens. Again, the 8th grade varsity Bob Kittens, undefeated season. Congratulations. Very well done. Taking a look at wrestling, I talked a little bit.
To the beginning of wrestling, Claire Dog on YouTube is pointing out that girls wrestling, there are no classifications. So in girls wrestling, everybody is competing against everyone.
So Katie's going
so she's not
against 4A, 3A, everybody.
Yeah.
Wow, that's even more impressive.
Yep.
Katie's been a beast this year. As I mentioned, she's undefeated, and as far as we know, she's still undefeated.
Snub.
Because she went to she's our snub of the week. That should be a new award, the snub of the week. She's undefeated through the quarterfinal round. I haven't heard what happened yet in the semifinal or the finals yet. Man, wrestling's so hard because there's so many wrestlers. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how to get to it. There's a ton of wrestlers from Aberdeen that are doing great in boys and girls. I don't know how to list all of these things because there's so much, but I would recommend going to the Daily World and looking at their write-up because they have a bunch. Hoquiam's got some guys in there too. Montesano. Dude, I mean, I'm just scrolling through page of results. Like, I don't know what to do besides say go check out the Daily World's update. I mean, holy cow. This is a good wrestling area. Have you ever noticed that? Like,
yeah. We
have a ton of good wrestlers here.
Wrestlers when I was in school, I know.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. I mean, this is an excellent, and the college team. The college team has an amazing wrestling program as well. So yeah, go check that out. I'm sorry that's going to do it for our local sports roundup, but yeah, it is. Willapa boys, by the way, won the district title.
No, the music stopped.
I know. I'm sorry. And they actually beat Nacelle, which is technically they're in Pacific County too. So it was an all Pacific County district title game. Willapa won 67-40. Nice. Let's see who led them in that game.
We need a segment. Daniel browses sports.
Yes. A fluke's really good for him. He's no fluke. I'm sorry. I say that every time. And if he listens, he's got to be so super annoyed that that's always what I say. Senior Gavin Hampton led Willapa Valley with 18 points, 16 in the second half. So, yeah, we had that. And, I forgot Aberdeen Swimmers. See, I had a bunch of different...
You always forget...
I know. I had a bunch of tabs open. Dang it. I had a bunch of tabs open. This is what happened when Justin's not here.
I'm sorry, I can't.
The Bobcats started the day by taking 16th overall in the 200-yard medley relay. I don't know what that is. Andrew, what's the 200-yard medley relay?
That's where 4 swimmers each swim a different stroke in a relay.
Then they finished the day with a 15th place finish for the 400 free relay.
That's where everybody's swimming freestyle. Cross stroke.
And freestyle is what people normally try and swim, right? Like if I'm hopping in a lake, I'm trying to swim freestyle.
I don't think that what you're trying to swim counts as an actual stroke. But freestyle doesn't have rules that you can't break, so it would probably still qualify as freestyle.
Oh, that is correct. Tyler Bates took 11th overall in the 100 backstroke in between those relays. They have a couple other swimmers as well, and that was day 2. Now they're going on to day 2. So yeah, lots of state tournaments going on, to say the least. Okay, I wanted to talk about
The
state tournament.
basketball tournament.
Yeah, so first of all, the seeds have been set, and so we will start with the 2B girls basketball teams from the area. As where are they? Raymond made it in the 2B girls state tournament. Now this is the regional round. I hate how it's set up, but this is how it is. They're in the regional round. They got the 5 seed. Now they got the 5 seed, and I think they're the only local team there. Yes. Then you go over to the 1B boys regional, and we're stacked. We from Pacific County. And then Oakville made it in as well. Oakville's in Grace Harbor, right? Yeah, I think they're right on the edge. Oakville, Willapa Valley, and Nacelle all in the state tournament. 1B state girls basketball, we have Willapa Valley and Nacelle as well. And then you go over to 1A girls, and you have Montesano. Montesano got the 4 seed. Now, as we mentioned in the 2-minute drill, this is the first year where, the last few years, it was just on like RPI. It was just on the formula.
There's a committee now.
Yes, and now there's a committee because it was a certain amount weighted towards your winning percentage, and then a smaller amount weighted towards your opponent's winning percentage, and then another smaller amount weighted towards your opponent's winning percentage. That's how they came up with the formula.
That's the RPI formula.
That's the RPI formula. So with those, the last I saw, Raymond and Montesano girls were both ranked number 1 using that formula. So I did not know that this year they were adding a selection committee to that. So that formula would be taken into account, but the final decision was going to be made with a committee. Now, I think that's probably the right move. But
yeah, because the RPI doesn't take into account the fact that if you're playing against a really good team in a way smaller...
Exactly.
Like a really good but way smaller school. Like this team's beat a ton of teams, but they beat a ton of teams that are tiny.
Yeah. Like technically a 4A school could go play 5 non-league games against 1B schools, and they could pick the best 1B schools that are around, and so they would have good winning percentages. So it doesn't take that into account. So it's good that there is that human element now of the selection committee. The sad thing is it kind of sucks that it's this year. Because Montesano and Raymond were both ranked number 1 with the RPI. So Monty gets a 4 seed and Raymond gets a 5 seed.
So they're not respecting us out here on the coast.
Yeah. And it's...
See, that's what I like about
the
having
hard
a committee
part
is it gives you some people that you can hate.
Yeah,
it's a
that's
lot
a good
harder
point.
to hate the
Numbers.
the formula.
The bummer is Raymond doesn't even get, like... Because in the way this stupid round is set up, I'm going to say it's stupid. The regional round is all one weekend, and in my opinion, all 16 teams should just go to state, play a double elimination tournament. It would be the same amount of days. That's the other thing that's dumb. It doesn't even save the amount of days of how long the tournament lasts, how they're doing it at this point. So there's no way it's costing them less money for the event center that they're holding it at if it's the same amount of days they have to rent the freaking center for.
Do you think whoever is in charge of it is like me and just has no idea how tournaments work? Like I cannot visually. You're talking about like all seeds and stuff and like single elimination. I know what those things are, and if I have a chart, if I have a chart, and I carefully listen to you and put them down, then I could build the bracket and I could be like, oh, now I understand what's going on. I cannot do that in my head. Completely unable.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
I don't possess it.
Your dad understands brackets, right?
But I think
I had to sit down and like work because it's confusing.
Right.
It really is confusing because if you're a top...
I'm just thinking maybe the person in charge is like that. And they don't understand how dumb it is because they're
Seriously.
like, oh, this makes sense to me. Yeah.
This makes sense. It makes no sense. This is the most confusing.
They're just faking it. They're embarrassed to admit if they don't understand what's happening. They're like, yeah, regional. Yeah.
These are all words.
Yeah.
Regionals.
I understand some of these words.
So regionals, if you thought regionals, you would probably think the best teams in this region would play each other, right?
Right. That would make sense.
Stop it. That's stupid. Why would you think that? Of course not. Region's got nothing to do with it. Literally, there's no region at all. So
Are they in the Pacific Northwest region of the country?
Of the country. Raymond is going to be playing Okanagan. The bummer about this is Raymond's the 5 seed, and the way the regional round is set up. Okanagan, yes.
Isn't that like kind of near Wisp?
You mean
Or Twisp?
Yeah, it's up there. Yeah,
Okay.
it's like north central of the state. And you're thinking, oh, but they're a 5 seed. So out of 16 teams, they should be a home team, right? No.
See, I don't understand. Yeah, I would think that if I understood brackets in my head.
No. Yes, you're a 5 seed in 16 teams, but guess what? The top 8 seed, they play in a game to decide if they have to play a loser out game the next game. The bottom 8 teams, they play a loser out game now, and if they win that game, then they play another loser out game against the losers of the top 8 seeds.
So the top 8 seed have a double elimination.
From right now, yes.
Okay.
And the bottom 8 seeds have 2 one and done games, pretty much. Like if they lose this one, they're done. If they lose the next one, they're done.
Okay.
The top 8 teams, if they lose this one, they get another shot.
So as a number 5, they're currently in a double elimination situation. Okay.
Yes. But the bummer is they're the 5 seed, so they're playing a 4 seed, so they have to play on the other side of the mountains because obviously the 4 is a higher seed. Also, Okanagan,
And also, obviously, the 4 is on the other side of the mountains.
Yeah, of course. Actually, are they all close? LeConner. I'm not sure exactly where LeConner is. It's up north somewhere. I think it's like in the mountain pass or around there, like up north and near where they like Skagit Valley area, I think. Is that where LeConner is? Anyway,
I'm efforting that.
I look at this ranking, and they're probably right. So I got no offense with the rankings. I actually think they did a really good job with the 2B girls rankings.
LeConner is way up north, east of Mount Vernon.
Okay, but in the Skagit Valley area?
Yes, like way extreme east.
Nailed it. Okay, cool. That's about where I thought. So LeConner, Warden, Colfax, and Okanagan, all real good. Like, I've looked at some of their schedules, and LeConner was demolishing teams like freaking... I think they beat Linden Christian, which is a 1A school.
Linden Christian.
They beat, like, Linden. Like, they were... the girls' 2B ranks, those top 4 teams are ridiculously good. So Raymond being ranked 5th makes sense. Because they're also really freaking good, but maybe not quite there. So then you look at the 1A girls, and Montesano is ranked 4th. And at first I was disappointed because, they're number 1 in the RPI. But you look at the teams.
Is that a home?
They do get a home game.
Oh, good.
So
I remembered that because,
Yeah, so they squeak into the home game, and which is important because they're playing Zilla. And so Zilla has to travel over from Zilla's right next to Yakima.
Okay.
And they have to travel across the mountains to play against Montesano. That's a big advantage. So Linden Christian takes the 1 seed, Nooksack Valley the 2 seed, and Kashmir the 3 seed. Honestly, that's probably what I would have gone with as well. Just from looking at, because about 2 weeks ago when districts was starting, I went super deep dive on some of the top like 5, 6, 7, 8 teams of both 1B or both 2B girls and 1A girls. And looking at those scores, looking at the opponents they are playing, stuff like that, that's probably what I would have come up with as well. So I think they got it right, but still the regional round is dumb. That's pretty much what I'm saying. So I think the committee got it right. It's a bummer that the first year they're doing this, we have 2 local teams that would have been the 1 seed had they not done it like this. But I think they got it right.
Good. And they both got them high enough that they've got the double elimination advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. So
not that they'll need it. They're going to go undefeated through win the tourneys.
Yes, exactly. Now on the other side in 1B, in the 1B ranks, which I don't know near as much about, Oakville's got an uphill battle. because they have to win a game just to stay alive.
What's their seed?
13.
Okay.
And Nacel's the same way, but Willapa Valley's the 4 seed, so they get a home game, and
Sweet.
they're in that. Yeah, so basically, you want to get in the top 8, and then you really want to get in the top 4.
Yeah.
Because that's the other stupid thing. Like, they did this because they claim it saves money, but explain to me how having Okanagan or having Raymond drive to Okanagan to play a game on Saturday, and then drive all the way back, and then drive to Yakima to play in the state tournament. Explain to me how that is good for saving money.
As opposed to just driving to Yakima to play in a bigger state tournament.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. It makes no sense. Anyway.
Is it because they don't have to pay for the arena?
Well, you would think that, except for it still starts Wednesday. It's still a 4-day tournament. And
it would be a 4-day tournament anyway?
Yeah.
Oh.
Except they just have 4 of the teams not show up until the second day of the tournament. So from those first seeding games, the top 8, the 4 winners of those games, they wait a day to go to the tournament.
Gotcha.
But it's still
Maybe it's the refs.
But
Maybe
they
don't
still
have to pay the refs as much because
there's not as many state games.
They're
still playing
getting
games
paid
in the regional.
They're still getting paid, but maybe it's from a different bucket.
It probably is all about just stupid different buckets, isn't it?
I'll bet you anything that's it.
Anyway, so the nice thing is we have 6 Twin Harbor teams.
You look so
if
defeated.
you expand it to Twin Harbors, so you got Nacelle, Willapa, Oakville, Raymond, and Montesano. Those are the teams that we have. Nacelle boys and girls, Raymond girls, Monty girls, Oakville boys, I think, and then Willapa boys. So we got a strong contingent. And hopefully I'm headed over.
And you're going to be covering all of the games, right?
I wish. There are different places. First of all, apparently the B tournament is just the B tournament. I almost said lit because I wanted to sound like a cool kid, but I realized that that's probably like 2 years old already.
Fleek.
But apparently the B tournament is just a blast, and it's just packed. The 1A and 2A tournament is good. And I thought it was a blast going to the 2A tournament when I was a player, and it's amazing to play in the Sun Dome, and you look up, and when the crowd is more filled in on some of the
later in the day, probably, yeah.
Later in the day, it's awesome.
Nice.
Apparently the 3A and 4A tournaments suck. That's what I've heard. Apparently, because they used to be I think they're still at the Tacoma Dome, but they used to be at the Tacoma Dome for sure. And if they're not still there,
I went and saw Aberdeen play up in the Tacoma Dome.
How was the
long time ago?
Did it feel pretty full? Because I've heard the last 10 years it feels like a ghost town because the communities don't care that much. And see, now if Aberdeen went now, they'd be a 2A school, so they would be at Yakima, which would be a blast. But apparently the larger communities travel worse and worse, and the smaller communities travel better and better. In basketball.
Is that true of the football tournament as well? Because the football tournament's up at...
The football tournament's not at the Tacoma Dome anymore.
Oh, it isn't?
No,
because I love watching football up there.
I know.
Although the turf was terrible.
The turf was terrible, yes. But no, they changed all of it because it was too expensive. They said it was too expensive. And so now I'm wondering, I think it's still at the Tacoma Dome, but I'm not sure, actually, to be honest.
I think they should just fire 2 or 3 administrative staff and pay for it.
And pay for
That's my entirely unbiased homeschooled opinion.
Anyway, I'm going to be following at least for the regional round with Zilla, which I don't think they've set the date or the time yet. It's either going to be Friday or Saturday that they're playing Zilla, but I should be covering that game. If they're playing separate days from the Raymond game, no, never mind, because I just said Raymond would be over in Okanagan, so there's no way I'm going to that.
Okanagan?
And then
it sounds like someplace in the northern Midwest, for real.
It does.
Okanagan sounds like it's in the peninsula, the upper peninsula in Wisconsin.
Yes, seriously.
Right? It's right near Sheboygan.
It's right. Yes, it would be a great rival to Sheboygan. All right.
Daniel's favorite Midwest name to say.
It is Sheboygan. All right. I think, is that enough of me ranting about that? Does everybody understand why I'm upset about the regional round And,
No, I don't.
Okay.
But I believe you. It sounds terrible.
And
It's less teams. It's more long away games and less teams being able to show up to the big tournament in the one single place with the crowds from all of the teams.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that
definitely is.
Thank you. That's another side of it. Nobody goes to regional games.
Yeah, that's you. I've heard you complain about that before also.
Because who's going to make a 4-hour drive for a game that isn't state?
Yeah.
You know? And they don't get to then have the opportunity to stay there.
Yeah, well,
That's the thing.
That's the other thing too. Is if you're going to state, even if your team isn't gonna win, it's fun to go to state and watch all of the good teams win.
Yes.
You can go make a 2 days. Your kids or your team, maybe your nephew, whatever.
Yeah.
Your people are going to state. You can go over there, get a hotel room, spend the weekend enjoying high school basketball, even if
Incredible high school basketball.
Even if your kid doesn't make it, even if your team is out the first day, there's still a ton of basketball going on.
Yes. And it's fun.
That's not true if you're going to Okanagan
To watch one game
play-in
play.
game.
Yeah,
Or what
exactly.
amounts to a play-in game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nailed it. You nailed it. All right. I'll just
That's what I do, Dave.
I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there.
I put nails in things.
Okay. We're going to move on to the mailbag.
Claire Dog could not agree more about the regional setup. They've tweaked it several times, and it still sucks in every iteration.
Yes. And the most painful part about it is they had it right beforehand.
Yeah.
Because Ian Cope, I call him the voice of Grace Harbor Sports. He gets annoyed every time I say that. He says that the WIAA will get it right after trying every other option.
And they're going to be like, we figured it out. And you're going to be like,
but the problem is
that was the way it was.
Exactly. They already had it right.
Yeah.
And they've done. He's correct in the
Is
seating
he saying,
point, though.
like, be patient, they'll get it right eventually? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I
don't
think
know.
so. And with a little bit of hint of frustration
Yeah,
that
yeah.
they're terrible at getting there.
Yeah.
But if you look at the seating system, I think he's right in that case because they tried at first just having no seating and it was just like took turns and they basically are like, we think this team is here. And then another time it was like, oh, this district won. They go to this seating spot and it was all a mess. And then they're like, we'll go straight by the numbers. And now it seems that they're using both and it seems like they got it pretty good. Yeah. So anyway, we're going to take a break, come back for mailbag questions after this time out.
At Ole Pen Real Estate, we have solidified our foundation on 4 core values. First, we continuously focus on growing our knowledge in the market and in our practices to bring the highest level of competency to our clients. Second, we provide a high level of integrity, compassion, and kindness in every aspect of our business. Third, we put the human element above business through humor, enthusiasm, and patience. And last but not least, we proactively respond to the needs of our clients. Our mission is to create a personal real estate experience, one person and one home at a time. With Ole Pen, it's personal.
Yeah.
It's personal.
Don't make
sorry.
fun of our commercials.
It always sounds a little bit like a threat to me.
Jason's threatening you.
Like, I better use them. It's personal.
That's funny. I'm going to tell Jason you said that his commercial sounds threatening. All right. Mailbag time.
Oh, hey.
You have
I'm
a thing
sorry.
for that.
The mailbag.
Yes, the
Send us your
mailbag.
stuff. Send us your stuff in a mailbag.
Yeah.
You nailed that.
Yeah, we did.
No, I said you nailed that. Like, yeah, you nailed it.
Well, that's what I do. I put nails in things.
Oh, no, that was my move. Justin puts pins in things, so.
He puts pens
Doesn't
in
he?
things?
Yeah, he says, I'm going to put a pin in this conversation. I think that's him.
I think you're right.
Pretty sure.
All right. What do we got?
Oh, we have a question from. I'm sorry. Here's the tab. Question from Claire Dog on Twitter. On YouTube.
Okay, cool.
As a couple of Cougs, do you have any thoughts about Dolores' transfer to UA? Which
Alabama?
I don't actually know. A UA sounds like urine analysis to me.
That's what I was thinking too. And which, I mean, I'd call University of Alabama.
They definitely don't, Daniel.
Jaden, I'm going to look it up. Jaden DeLora, transfer.
I have thoughts, but I don't have a lot of thoughts.
Oh, he's going to Arizona.
Oh, University of Arizona.
In the Pac-12?
I
understand him wanting to transfer out.
I totally understand him wanting to leave, and I'm not a fan of how
Pac-12.
I'm not a fan of how WSU's athletic department has been dealing with
a plethora of different situations.
Yes, and so to me, I'm like, it's frustrating, and I'm just kind of in a wait and see, like, whatever happens. But I don't blame him at all. If I were involved in that situation, I probably would have felt like leaving too.
Yeah. And college football, I feel like so much of the recruitment is coaches are selling themselves and attaching to them.
Absolutely.
And so when a coach is then no longer there, I usually am fine with...
Especially the elite guys.
Yeah.
Like the quarterback, you commit to... You don't care about the school. Let's be real. You care about the coach.
Yeah.
As a starting quarterback.
Yeah, that's true.
You care about
he
committed to a coach,
and he went there for an offensive coach too.
Yeah,
it wasn't
absolutely.
just the coach; it was an offensive coach too. So,
and that's honestly, I feel that way. I feel like there were people trash talking. I don't even know the names, but the UW quarterback that transferred out.
Yeah,
and I was like, yeah. Go and then like the guys coming in with the I expect that. Like I feel like the guys that are really committed to that coach rather than the program, when that coach gets a job somewhere else, they're gonna be like, hey, I'd like to go with the coaching staff that I like.
Exactly.
And I don't blame them at all because college football is a business.
What?
College football is a business.
They
He won't admit it yet. They're getting closer. College football is a huge business.
Massive.
And I don't hold against any. I root for my team because they're a school. I would feel less dirty about it if they were actually like amateur athletes and the games weren't televised and nobody was making very much money. I would feel less dirty about it.
So rooting for the rugby team then.
Yeah, like a club team.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But...
That makes sense.
I do think that college football is moving more towards less corruption and kind of scuzzy dirtiness, but I do think there's a long way to go too.
Yeah, I agree. The Angel has a few questions. I don't think that without Justin, I feel like we need Justin for all of these, because
we don't have to cross them off, but we could.
Well, did you ever watch the Rugrats?
Nope.
Neither did I. Did you ever, I remember watching a Little Rascals movie at one point, but I couldn't
I
tell
don't
you the
know
names.
the Little Rascals either.
I mean, there's Alfalfa.
Also, I'm not sure who Reptar is.
I
know
what
Trogdor, and I know he would beat Reptar, obviously, in a fight, but I'm not actually sure who Reptar is.
Yeah, that was the problem. So I'm going to look up Reptar because I was picking Trogdor like...
He's the Burninator.
Oh, he's the dinosaur from the Rugrats.
Oh, all of these are Rugrat questions.
Yeah.
We'll wait for Justin.
Yeah, we'll wait for Justin. Trogdor would definitely be Reptar, though.
Sean...
Burninate in the countryside.
Sean would like to know... our food takes were very, very popular last week.
Oh, yeah,
so we'll do some
popular.
more. Sean wants to know, is pumpkin the Mariano Rivera of flavors? It's available year-round. If it was really so good, wouldn't we use it all the time? Yes, Sean. Actually, no. Pumpkin is not
the most overrated flavor.
Pumpkin is not the Mariano Rivera of flavors because pumpkin's actually not good.
Oh.
Pumpkin is like mediocre.
So
and highly rated. It is the most overrated, but Mariano Rivera is notable because he is really good and yet still overrated.
That's true. And still overrated so much that he's the most overrated player of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though he's really good.
Yes.
Pumpkin flavor. Yeah, I got to go with you on that. Even in the fall, I'm not drinking pumpkin. I'm not drinking pumpkin flavor stuff.
Yeah. I have
And yet people freak out and they're all like, we've got pumpkin flavor now. And I'm like, it's been at the coffee shop the whole summer. Nothing. It's been there the whole time. Sorry.
You know what I do
So he's
like
right.
in the fall? It's not necessarily only available seasonally, but like cinnamon spice. Like the cloves and spice. Personally, I like drinking it in like mulled wine or something like that. But like cinnamon, cloves, cardamom, those
like
spices,
cinnamon.
that's really good. I like
Yes. I like cinnamon like year round though. Like cinnamon's good. And the spices, because I drink a decent amount of tea at home, and one of our favorites is like a cinnamon spice tea, and so that's why I mentioned that I like it year round, because I just drink it all the time. Let's see. Oh, we were speaking of college football a little bit ago. Sean also wants to know, speaking of relevant, is college football on the verge of
irrelevance.
Thank you. I can't read.
I'm not sure. I would be very interested in a discussion with him on that. I'm not sure where he's coming with that. It seems like college football is just getting more and more relevant.
Is he thinking because of the name, image, likeness stuff that it's? We don't know. So if he's saying that,
the elite programs seem to be more. We seem to be moving more closer and closer to an elite conference at the top that probably doesn't play other conferences,
and that would make a lot of the teams
more irrelevant.
Yes,
and so in that case, I think probably there's a lot of non-top 25 teams that are probably getting closer to irrelevance, which probably a hot take, but I think maybe like what I was saying earlier, that may be better for like.
Well, you would
just
have
better.
Yeah, because I mean, again, as we saw for the first time this year, a smaller team go undefeated, barely squeaks in, and everybody complains about it the whole time.
Yeah.
But if we're gonna worry so much about that, then we should have a level playing field league. And that's the thing. Like, if you're complaining that an undefeated team gets to play in the playoffs, then there's something, you're not playing in the same league.
Yeah.
And so having an elite level league, fine, that'd be great. Put all your elite teams in there. Put Alabama, Ohio State, whatever. All the teams that can afford to pay kids like crazy, Oregon, put them in there. And
all the big market, because honestly, that's going to be the big market. Because the name, image, and likeness.
Yeah.
If there's a big market and they're good at marketing, then you can pay the kids well.
You can fairly leave the other divisions alone. You can still have, it would probably be like a Pac-10 again, maybe a Pac-8. You shrink all the other things, and then they could actually play against level playing field and win their championship, just like Division 1 AA or Division 2 or whatever, the other things are.
And it would make it less, like there wouldn't be the money in it. You wouldn't be able to watch Pac-8 games on national television.
Yeah, but you
could still watch it because it's not expensive to stream games.
Yeah, and your team could actually have a chance at winning a title.
Yeah.
Instead of getting blown out by Alabama or whatever random team pops up from the SEC or Clemson.
I won't be mad if I'm paying $20 a year to my school to the conference or something to watch my school's games without super awesome with student commentators. Honestly, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And give me some car ads for like the tractor dealership in Colfax.
There we go.
Instead of like your multi-billion-dollar marketing campaigns on ESPN.
But also, watching Pac-12 games and me and you watching Wazoo and Oregon State games, we do get a lot of tractor commercials. we get those Kubota commercials.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
It wouldn't be the big money. It's still going to bring in some money.
Yeah.
But it would feel a lot more honest to me. Personally.
I think if you would have told me that 3 years ago, I would have fought you.
Really?
But now I'm like, yeah, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm with you more and more on that. It's kind of scary how you make more and more sense to me as I get older.
That is concerning. You should probably have that looked at.
Yeah.
It might be cancer.
Okay. And a question from Chris. Let's go. If it's,
Justin needs those.
Justin needs these questions.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll leave them these chicken questions. We'll leave them for Justin. That's I think that's gonna do it for our show.
Oh,
today.
Justin Clarence clarified Arizona, and I didn't see it until just now.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you, Clarence. Thanks for watching, man. Did anybody else watch besides Clarence?
Clarence is the only. Now we have 4 concurrent viewers right now. I'm only one of them.
There we go. I mean, it's kind of sad because before every show, I send the live link to both your family and my family, and not even our families watch this.
I don't think they know how.
We'll go with that. All right, so that's going to do it for our show today. So for Justin puts a pin in things, Damashevitz, and for my producer, Andrew puts nails in things, gross.
That is Daniel. I can't read Hargrove.
You've been listening to The Scrimmage.
What tab? End stream.
I have to pee so